So my name's Kim Bridgeland, Director of Addition Office Architects. It's a real pleasure to present a Mary Street house to you. Just starting the diagram, these are the two first floor additions to this project. So to the street, they present as graphic formal gestures. Materially and spatially, they are two spaces of acute sanctuary, both materially and socially within the project. The site is St Kilda West. So the little red dot, it has that beautiful balance between the bay, the parks. However, it's, oops, jumping too far ahead. It's right on Canterbury Road. So Mary Street is this beautiful tree-lined wide street here, but it's broadside, and on this kind of northeastern side is incredibly exposed. It does, however, have the opportunity of it's a three-sided project. It has this back lane. So the site is actually the culmination of that whole block and how it presents in terms of an urban gesture wrapping around. And I'll talk previously, so take note of these tall double height Victorian terraces here, and then wrapping around we lift up again, but the original house was a small single story thing, so it was a bit of a dud note in an urban fabric sense from the current conditions when we received it. North is up left of the screen. Mary Street is left, Canterbury Road is to the top, and the laneway is to the right. I don't have a before and after diagram. Rob, I probably should have brought more diagrams with me. But the changes, everything, the form of these rooms is all existing. We took out a small piece of, I guess, the existing kitchen and bathroom. So the new work really begins from a demolition sense here. But from arrival, the sense of change starts to appear at small gestures. So there's a very minor curve as you walk from that heritage entry. There's a slightly larger gesture as the material palette changes. There's some greater sweeps and changes. So that transition from original home to new social spaces, from private sleeping spaces to the shared public domain, is this eruption of small changes that lead into that open space of kitchen, dining, and living room, all which hook around and anchor this kind of prospect from refuge from the street, allowing that northern sun to come over this defensive wall. So that transition of new languages in the brick fabric starts to wraps around the whole site, from indoor and outdoor, and then flanking and protecting the house itself. Upstairs, coming to those two sanctuaries, the principal bedroom on the left is a form that just ducks between the apex of the roof, so it's entirely invisible from the street on Mary Street back here. So that has an outdoor private courtyard, sleeping space, robe and bath. Notice that shower having that axial relationship from two sources of light on the skylight to that outdoor courtyard. Circulation spines both on the south, and we have that small study retreat rising up on a sheer acute relationship to that laneway on the east. Quick elevation, see more of this in photographs, I'll skip through. The section's, I think, more intriguing in terms of the layering of the heritage house to the left, and having that change from transition through the hallway, moving into those social spaces, and then having seeing those two retreats above, and that skylight between them has a formal relationship above that creates a point of social fulcrum and movement in the dining space below. So from an urban fabric sense, we have this wonderful acute silhouette of that red brick terrace to the right. And we have our little intact Federation bungalow at the centre of the screen with Amanda Oliver. That garden has a really low fence that I don't think there's a photograph of, but this is a very shared social space to the street. As we move around on Canterbury Road to the left, we see that defensive wall, about shoulder height, that starts to fluidly turn up, rise up, and becomes the actual wall of the house itself. And that wraps around and starts creating that collage, that layering from street to footpath, to wall, to original house, to a sense of interiority and that formal gesture of the private sleeping space above, the little chimney poking above, the lemon scented gun to the left, and between that studio space and the bedroom above, depending on your angle of arrival or connection to the house, you start layering the old fabric, the natural fabric, these two forms. That studio pavilion in bedroom one allows a natural daylight path also to the private open space of the laneway to the south. And coming around, that natural wall, that protective wall rises up to create the back wall of the home, falls down again, creating a space of social protection and acoustic protection, but also allowing natural northern sun to get over that defensive wall and into the protected outdoor or social spaces of the house. And then just note I guess this wall here rises up to meet the mass of that second red brick silhouette of a terrace. So they rise up and speak to each other across the lane with the same setbacks from Canterbury Road. Just showing some of those curved brickwork details, that collage layering of heritage fabric in the background. Same slide again. So coming back to the entry, so again, arriving through the home, you see that low social fence. It's about just over knee height. So this is a space of community conversation. So there's a lot of meeting at the porch and speaking to neighbours around this area of the house before we kind of move into the interiority. It's just showing that drift of landscape back into the outdoor rooms that blend into the indoor and outdoor rooms of the social spaces. Once in the inside, there's a restoration of the Baltic pine floorboards. They were in a woeful state. But behind that first heritage arch, two cues. One is the architraves of the door, 30mm offset of the heritage first door that you see. The next doors that are a contemporary language, respect that transition. They lean out 30-40mm from the white plasterboard wall, announcing themselves those first couple of ripples of change. The concrete ceiling rises up, creates that negative space of volume behind the arch, and then starts to lure you in, following that light into the social spaces. In the heritage rooms, this is one of the kids' bedrooms. The original shape of the room is a skirting board below, resetting the cornicing above, allowing the bulkhead, the study and the robe, servicing with those calm interiors holding those heritage details. One of the old heritage bedrooms turned into a new bathroom with this cast in situ bath, double hung timbered window that can slide up, allowing this to be an indoor outdoor bathing space with a private garden to the southern side of the house, creating light and airflow to both the back side of the kitchen and this bathroom. Progressing down the hall, small changes of materiality on the left, new materiality on the right. Those oscillating gestures moving into the new wing. And this window from the inside is one of those keystone joints from old to new. Old language on the left, this is an existing heritage room. And then new architecture on the right, with that window being that kind of keystone joint. And then drifting down into that new social spaces. So this recycled brickwork with a mortar bad finish allows those indoor spaces to meander around to become a clear set of defined living dining kitchen that then flow out with that same materiality, having outdoor rooms that bleed and create those kind of informal circulation paths around. This is the outside's keystone joint from that old fabric to that new fabric. Keep moving. I'll just move back around to the pool and that outdoor playroom and that acute face of that urban fabric gesture of the studio rising up on that to meet the face of that neighbouring terrace over the lane. Allowing community, this outdoor room opens up from creating an outdoor living room that can open up to communal gestures to neighbours down the lane. Cast in situ concrete in permanent formwork of a galvanised steel plate on that stair, rising upwards.